Welcome to Creators by Moonlight. Real conversations with content creators.
Kelley Wilson Robinson is an actor from Greenville, South Carolina. She came to acting later than most and sacrificed much to pursue the craft. In this interview, she talks about losing her teaching career and her marriage, what she does to stand out on set, and why she won't give up.
I was born in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, and my parents moved I think I was 9 months old, to Greenville, South Carolina, where I grew up. I had a great childhood. I was extremely painfully shy. I used to hide in the closet when the doorbell rang, and I was just one of those kids that you couldn't talk to. I would hide behind my mom, when anyone was being introduced to me. I busted out of that shell around 8th grade, and in high school, I was, the social butterfly and was full throttle ever since. I had pet snakes growing up. My mother was terrified of them, but I begged for years, and she finally relented. And I had a ball python that used to bust out of her cage at night and sleep at the bottom of my feet in my electric blanket. Had a rooster named PJ that I used to paint his toenails and dress him in a pound puppy outfit. I've had every animal, huge animal lover, and I still am. When I was growing up, I was a cheerleader. I started dancing and cheerleading when I was 3. My dad was the football coach for the team, and actually we kind of together went up the ladder all the way through high school even. I was always think of myself as a little girl from Remember the Titans. I think I really could coach a football team. Cheerleading conception of it used to be just, they're just there to just look cute or whatever on the sidelines. It is far from that. It is very physical. I was a flyer, which is the person who goes in the air and they throw in the air and you pray to God they catch you. I was the first sophomore in my high school ever to make the varsity cheerleading team. And that also was the year that they first said, okay, in South Carolina, cheerleading is officially a sport. And we have to do these 2.5-minute routines where you're cheering and dancing and moving. And it takes many months to choreograph this. And, the tumbling, round up, back handspring, back tucks, you go to the gym constantly. And we practice 4 hours a day, like 3 and 4 days a week, and competitions on Saturdays. And it all paid off, though, because we were state champs. I did break my ankle 2 weeks before state. I remember going to the orthopedic doctor, and he was going to put a hard cast on my foot. And I looked at him and my mom, and I said, absolutely not. I have a competition in 2 weeks. And he said, well, you're not competing. And I said, watch me. So I left with an air cast. I took the air cast off right before I walked out onto the competition floor, and we won the very first state championship for cheerleading in the whole state of South Carolina. So glad that I did not get the hard cast, because you can't compete in one of those. Then I went to school at USC in Columbia, and I did not try out for cheerleading because I had been doing it for so long, but Lord, I had regretted that so much. But I ended up coaching the high school team where I cheered. My entire family, my aunt, my grandparents, my mother, all are educators. My grandfather was the dean of education at the University of Southern Mississippi. Everyone's got their doctorates in education, all teachers. So I grew up saying I would never be a teacher, ever. And then I went to college, and I was undeclared major for the first 2 years. And then I came home, and my niece at the time was 9, and she was cheerleading for a youth team, and they needed a coach. And that age, 9, 8, and 9, third grade age, and I absolutely fell in love with those kids. And that's when I realized I got to be a teacher. I love working with children. I had no idea how much I loved working with children. They're just so funny, and they're so real, and they get my humor, because I'm just a goofball. Like I had them convinced that I was a stand-up comedian on the weekends. Like they really believed me. Like they were great. I miss them so much. But I wasn't paid to do that. That was volunteering as a coach at the time. But me doing that is what led to me getting the varsity cheerleading position. My coach was great. So I really modeled my program off of what she did. I was like the program coordinator. And my first year, we actually won state and we won 5 times in my 7 years. One time we were runner up by 2 points, but it's okay. I'm not bitter. It was a round the clock full time job. And it was a whole year. Like we would practice 4 days a week throughout the whole summer for 4 hours a day, one night in the gym. I loved coaching and we were great. It was extremely physical. Those girls are hardcore athletes and very driven. If they missed one game, one practice, anything, off the team. And they knew it. Like I had a cheerleader constitution. They knew it because I wanted people to be, all in, just like I always felt about it. And I think that's why we were so successful is because I even got teacher recommendations. I got them to write letters why they should be chosen. And some of them were just heartbreaking and amazing. And sometimes you got to think the sport is sometimes better for the child. Like they need it more than some others, if that makes sense. Like I remember one girl in particular that I took on, she needed it in her life to change her life, to turn it around. And then she ended up like saving us because one of our flyers broke her foot and she jumped in and was able to do it. So I was so thankful. I took my dad's advice and did that. I actually tried out for the Carolina Panthers. I remember like there was like 400 girls that tried out. And they're more of like a dance team, not cheerleader. And I was just cheerleader, really more flyer, things like that. They had 7 spots open and I made it into the top 10. And then they told me, they asked like if I would be interested in having breast enhancement surgery. Basically what they were saying is you're great, but you're not going to fill that costume out. So I didn't make the team, but that's okay.
Kelley's first passion had been cheerleading, but the inspiration to become an actor came from an unlikely source. She then found herself having to make difficult decisions about her future.
I was a teacher at the time. I had been teaching 3rd grade and 2nd grade, and I was a reading specialist for 14 years and loved those kids to death, like they were my own. But I did not love all the extra stuff that went with it. It was so time consuming and exhausting. It just never crossed my mind to become an actress because it just seemed so far out of my reach. Then my son, he was born entertainer. He was 3 years old, pointed at the TV and said, I want to be a star. And I thought he meant like a star in the sky. I was like, silly, that's just a big ball of gas in the sky. You can't be a star. He said, no, on TV. And I'm like, what? So I wasn't pushing him in that direction, but he wanted that. And so I searched for an agent, found one in Atlanta that wanted him, signed him, and he got a lot of work. And I still did not think I would be acting at this point. I was carting him around from Atlanta to Greenville to auditions. Then the agent saw us together at a function and asked, why are you not in this agency? Why are you not acting? Because y'all would be great together in commercials. And so I was signed with the agency, which does not happen typically without, I was lucky. I was lucky that it just kind of landed in my lap. I thought I was going to book a lot of commercials with my kid. So we would audition together and then I would get a part, but a different kid get the role, or he would get a part and a different mom. But we never got booked together as mom and son, which was funny. That opened the door and showed me like, I can do this. Like, it's not hard. You just stand in front of a camera and be yourself or be another person, or it's just pretending to be someone else. And it just came pretty easily for me. I remember there was a movie role offered to me. It was my first big feature film. I had done about 6 or 7, smaller ones, some short films, some commercials. And it's hard teaching and doing auditions, and it was a lot, but I did it. And I remember some nights I would drive home from filming all night in Atlanta, drive to school the next day, teach all day, go home and do another audition. It was a lot. I loved it though. I absolutely fell in love with acting. I loved everything about it, and I wanted to learn everything I could. So I would read all about, the different jobs there were. I was actually volunteering and doing a lot of things where I wasn't getting paid, like just to be a PA so I could see what goes on behind the scenes. I wanted to learn everyone's role because for me to be a good actress, I want to know what everybody else has to do. What can I do for them to make their job easier? And so that was a huge help for me. I got to help with a lot of short films. I didn't get paid for most of the beginning things that I did. I didn't care. I was just so happy to get any part, and people were telling me, you're actually pretty good. And I'm like, why are you so surprised? It just kind of felt like a natural thing for me. Like I was born to do that. My husband at the time was not supportive of my acting endeavors or career. He kind of gave an ultimatum of acting or him. I'm a believer in allowing people to do what they want, follow their dream. Don't be miserable in doing a job. Don't lie on your deathbed saying, what if I would have tried? What if I could have done this? So I went for it. And so he and we parted ways. And I haven't stopped since. I've been full speed ahead. It's something that I had to take a huge leap of faith. I left behind my teaching career. It was a big sacrifice, and it was scary because I got offered a role in The Good Things Devils Do. It was like my first big role as an actor. I was like, wow. But it was something that it would be filmed during the school year. And so I had to make a choice, and it wasn't hard. I chose acting. And of course, financially, that was an immense struggle. And people love to judge. It's just natural. And so I lost a lot of friendships. Well, what I thought were friendships, I guess, that way because they thought I made the wrong choice. I know I didn't make the wrong choice because I've not digressed. I'm still full steam ahead after, however many years it's been, 7, 8 years. I'm constantly every day still reaching out to, looking online, looking for different opportunities, ways to help, music videos. And it's amazing how on set, it's so important for me. I always say, be kind. That's what I used to always say to my students, be kind, be kind. And that goes so far everywhere, including on set.
Her decision made, Kelley joined the ranks of the struggling actor. She credits her drive and her passion for teamwork with opening many doors.
I was 35 when I started doing the short films, things like that. And now I'm 42. I just turned 42. For some reason, women are always like, oh, I'm not telling you how old I am. I don't care. As long as I don't look that age, I'm good. There are not many jobs in the world where you have to basically reapply for the job, give your resume, your reel, your headshot, and interview all over again every couple of weeks. I mean, that just doesn't happen. I mean, when you're a teacher, you get the job and you can teach forever. But when you're acting, you're constantly having to prove yourself, constantly having to show you're better, constantly having to show these are the skills I have, adding to your list of things you can do. And you're going to apply for 30 things maybe and get one if you're lucky. Maybe 2 auditions, great. An audition, super. It's a way to get in front of the camera. It's a way for them to see you and remember you maybe for another job if you don't get that one. So it's something that you can't be fair weather on. You got to be all in or just all out, because the people who make it are the ones who don't give up. And people like me who tell me I can't, it's going to happen, and I will. I was very fortunate. Whenever I started, I was applying for any role I could get. Background didn't matter to me. And I remember traveling to Atlanta, and I was in a massive herd of people, 200 people. And they looked up in the audience and they pointed to me and they said, "Come down here," like to where I could be seen in the screen. And I was like, that was really nice. That happened several times in different environments. And I was like, well, maybe it's my hair because I look different. Another interesting thing that has happened to me several times is I'll audition for a part and I won't get the part, but they'll make another part for me. They'll write something else into the script. And at first I thought that was not a good thing. I'm like, gosh, I wasn't good enough for that part. But then a director said, no, that means you're good and they wanted you in it, but just not in that part. I'm like, okay. But I've been very fortunate. And if I get an in-person audition, I'll book it. But if it's a taped audition, it's a 50-50. So I don't know what it is about the taped auditions. I guess the personality doesn't always get to come out whenever you're stuck with just these lines. I played the drunk mom. I played the soccer mom. I played the Home Depot girl. Like, it's so weird that I can be put into all these different parts. One of my favorite things though is to play a vampire, because I've got that look, the white thing going on, the super glowing almost. One of my very first leads when I was still teaching, I was Carmilla, a vampire, and I took it so seriously that I went to the library and I found a book about her, and she was like before Dracula, and she had red hair and all these things. I'm like, that's why he did it, because I like to really get to the origin story of things, the characters that I play or portray. And if they don't have a backstory, I make one so that I can become that person. Sometimes they're like, she's this, this, and this. I'm like, okay, I can do that. But then I'm like, but what made her that way? Why is she that way? And it's the little things like with your eyes or little gestures or mannerisms that I would practice, for any character that I get. And, run things by directors and even, dialogue. I'm like, this sounds a little like odd to me. What do you think about this? And a lot of times they're like, yeah, go with it. It's important for, I think, actors to embrace that character. I'm not like a method actor, but I do make in my mind a new person, I guess, a character completely. Like, what was that person's home life like? How did they grow up? Do they like animals? What do they do in the day? And people watching is one of the best ways to learn about acting, I believe, if I can sit still long enough and do it. The Good Things Devils Do is what really started my career rolling in a bigger, better direction. I was at a friend's premiere. I was in a movie, a short part for him, and it was premiering, and he looked stressed selling tickets. So I went over to him and I said, let me do this. Let me be the ticket person. You go enjoy your film. And the director for The Good Things Devils Do was in line. And apparently I talked to him because I talked to everyone. I was only in that movie for a split second. But afterwards, all the cast were talking, hanging around. And that director approached me because he said I commanded the room. And to be able to do that with such a huge group was a big deal, especially when I was just a little small part in that film. He told me about the movie and asked me to audition. So I did, and I got the role of Caroline. Me just memorizing lines, which were a lot more than I had to do before, that wasn't enough for me. Like, I can sew, I'm jack of all trades except cooking. Terrible cook. I used to make dance costumes for dance teams. Like I can do all those things. So I was helping with wardrobe. Like Melvin, I made all of his sweater vests. Like I helped with like Danny's costume, my costume. I helped with props. I helped with so many things, script supervision, like, line editing. Poor Masquerade, she's covered in blood, makeup, nails. She couldn't make her plate. I'm like, do you want me to make you a plate? She's like, yes. She like had her teeth in and she was freezing. So I made her a plate. And it's just little things like that that other people notice. And that leads to other opportunities. I was even there for like the soundtrack, like helping score it. I wanted to be a part of all of it. And I was just doing that to get experience. That was like an extra thing in addition to just my part as Caroline in the film. In turn, they gave me points for the movie. So I became an associate producer. And that was pretty cool because that led to me becoming an executive producer for another film coming up called The Devil's Circle, which hasn't started yet. It's in pre-production. And I'm also in that one as Lois. And all of that came from, like, I didn't go into it seem like, hey, I'm only going to do this if you give me money for that. I just did it because I wanted to help and I wanted to learn. And I knew I could help and I could see how stressed wardrobe was. And I'm like, what can I do to help? All I'm doing, I got my lines memorized. I've had this script for 2 months. What can I do to help? I'm not doing it. Everyone's running around crazy. What can I do to help? And they appreciated that. And they offered me associate producer position, which I was very grateful for. That film, it came out last Halloween. It is basically a home invasion vampire style, I guess is the best way I can put it. Kane Hodder and Linnea Quigley, Bill Oberst Jr., David Rucker are all in it, and they're like family. And my son, he played young Danny. He had some hard lines in that when people were like, whoa. He got the greatest laughs, though. It's won several awards in different film festivals, and it has worldwide distribution. You can watch it pretty much anywhere except for Netflix, I believe. And I love that movie. I feel like it's my second child, and it'll always feel that way to me. And I still have a great working relationship with the director, and I can always reach out to him, ask questions like, what do you think about this? Does this look like a shady role to you? Does this look like who's this? Does this director look legit to you? So he's been very, helpful in that. And he was tough on me on set, but I'm glad he was. I was tough on my cheerleaders. He was tough on me, made me look good. Also, important thing to note is I didn't realize this, but I'm a big promoter of the films that I'm in. Yeah, it's a way to thank, the director and the people involved with the film. And it's also promoting, me. And that's something I'm really bad at doing. People appreciate that. And I've been told that it's noticed that I always seem to be very supportive of, other actors, other, directors, just whoever I can, I guess the perpetual cheerleader.
Kelley's chosen path includes many obstacles to be navigated, including financial and interpersonal.
It is extremely difficult to work as a professional actress and pay bills and live like normal humans do, which was a big part of the marriage issue. And I gave up a lot. I mean, a massive house, but it was just too much to clean anyway. I gave up so many things and I wouldn't trade it for anything. My car, like I now have a piece of junk, but I love it. Love my piece of junk car because it's huge and it holds all the things I need for set. I actually slept in my car for almost 2 years. People don't know that. I would go to, friends or family's houses a couple of days, take a shower. I would even go to the gas stations where the truck drivers take showers to get ready for our set and then our auditions. Because I would have to secretly do my auditions because my, downstairs because my ex-husband didn't, wasn't approving. And it was a struggle. I'm so glad I went through all of it, because now that I am where I am and I have everything I need, it's like, wow, I'm doing it. And I've actually, booked 2 skincare commercials recently. One's actually to be spokesperson for them. Another one is a commercial. And then today I got 2 audition requests for horror movies, which is my favorite genre ever. And I love watching horror movies. That's all I watch. I watch one every day. But I have given up a lot. I sleep in my car constantly. And a little tip for all of the actors out there: the best place to park is at Walmart parking lots, because they will not kick you out. Police won't tell you to leave. And if you park close enough to the building, you get free Wi-Fi with your computer, and you can get a little adapter for your car, and you can work on your resume or work on your reel and have your Wi-Fi going. And it's pretty nice. To me, it's all worth it, because I'm getting more and more and more jobs. Granted, individually, they don't pay a lot. And so of course you have to do something else, which most people don't know this, because I don't know why. I just never tell anyone. But I have an eBay store that I run. I love porcelain and fine china, and I've learned all about it, and I sell the heck out of that stuff. I buy it so cheap and then resell it for a lot more. But I have an eBay store, and that, helps tremendously. And it's also something I can do while acting. I can put it on vacation, and then I can go and do my thing. It's not something that is so time demanding. It's like my schedule. And I love that. I don't love all the fees they make me pay, but I do love the flexibility of the job. At first, whenever I started acting, the people that I thought were my friends, mainly my teaching coworkers, just stopped talking to me. And that was fine by me. Their loss. Other people did as well. And that was okay with me, because I learned very quickly that it does not matter how. I would never want a million friends that are all fake. I just want like one good friend. So I have my dog. I'm just kidding. I just, just 1 or 2 good friends. That's all you need. You don't need a bunch of friends, When I grew up, I was always the super friendly to everyone, nice to everyone, loved everyone, talked to anyone, non-judgmental, not into groups. And that's just how I thought everyone was. Well, I quickly learned, especially in the acting world, that is not the way it is. And even just as an adult, when I go out and am walking around and, shopping, I get to look up and down, and all I usually do is just smile and, hello, or am kind to them, and usually will catch them off guard. And I was always offended by it. And then I was told, oh, they're just jealous. But that's the typical, like, whatever response. I don't know what it is, but there was a girl at a convention. And I remember I had to buy a dress on the way there. I didn't even try it on, because I hate trying clothes on. It was awful on me. I was like, forget it. I had to buy earrings at the convention. And she came running out, and she looked gorgeous, like full on sequins, like ruby red slippers, perfect blonde hair. And she's like a big TikTok person, Mackenzie Marshall, I believe her name is. I can't remember the exact quote, but she said, I saw you from so far away. I knew you had to be someone famous. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, girls just don't say things like that. I would to someone. I'm always very quick to give a compliment or tell another girl, like, oh, you look beautiful, or oh, your hair looks great. But for some reason, I don't know what it is. People are just, I don't like beg for attention or need a bunch of compliments, but it's not even compliments. It's just like, who do you think you are? I'm just like, gosh. And I'm actually super sensitive. So of course I'm like, what have I done? But as an actress, you learn to get tough very quickly. My greatest friends that I have, I really believe this. This is crazy. I've never even personally met. I know them just from like Facebook. And, they're all in the entertainment industry, so they get it. They know how people judge. They know how hard it is. They know the struggle, the sacrifices, the mental anguish, the, exhaustion, the, self-defeat, the when's it going to happen for me, the COVID hitting, and then everything going to, nothing happening. And still people saying, don't give up, don't give up. But then you're just like, I'm tired, but you still can't give up. those people I will always consider like my best friends. And they're like famous people. And that blows my mind. Like I'll text them and they text me right back. I know one time I needed a letter of intent for a film and I'm like, what? I don't know what this is. Like, oh my goodness. So I had to, I text Bill Oberst. I'm like, Bill, man, you got a letter of intent. I don't really know what this is. He's like, I'll email it to you now. He was on set on his break, sent it to me, and I just changed the things, sent it out, done. I started like on Facebook when people book jobs or, I booked it. I'm like, congratulations. I'm so proud of you. And people appreciate that coming from another actor. So I wish more of them would do it.
Kelley sees her passion for acting as a lifestyle choice and feels camaraderie with those she considers fellow artists.
I have sacrificed a ton for this dream of mine, this wild and crazy dream of mine, but I would not trade it for anything. I would not quit it for anything. And I recently wrote a poem about that. The poem was, I do not quit. I don't give up. I don't believe in coincidence or luck. It was really good. I can't remember the rest, but it ended with saying something about, to help me fulfill this wild and crazy dream. I do write a lot of poetry. I write for artists because I remember talking to someone about how much we sacrifice as artists. We give it all, we give everything to get a small taste of fame. Our hearts bleed, we sacrifice, handing the world our sharpest knife. Basically saying we put ourselves out there only to get crucified by everyone, but it's worth the risk because in the end, it could all be just great. Yeah, I have so many. Like one of them actually was just 2 lines. A director asked if he could use it as his opening for his movie. It's called Paste. Every day I wake up and glue a smile on my face. If it starts to slip, I add a little more paste. I don't put many of them online because people will be like, girl, are you okay? I'm like, y'all, it's just poetry. Like, I'm fine. Like, people will inbox me and be like, you all right? I'm like, y'all, stop. Like, I have one called Reaper, like, and most of them are old things I wrote when, like, some ex made me mad, but they're relatable. And so I'm like, yeah, you need to hear this. But people just they're like, are you okay? I'm like, I'm fine. They don't they don't read between the lines, they take it way too seriously. But you know who gets it? The artists, the entertainers. They get it. They get it. Like I posted a quote thinking nobody's going to care about this. And it said, it was something along the lines of blood makes you related, loyalty makes you family. And that meant a lot to me. And it meant a lot to a lot of other people. I had no idea that many entertainers had family members that disagreed with their decision. There's just so many sacrifices, but it takes a lot of persistence and just determination and just not giving up. I mean, there's so many times I could have just said, you know what, forget it. I quit. I'm not doing this anymore. It's not worth it. But then I'm like, no, I've come this far. Why on earth would I do that? Why quit now? I've given up so much and I'm doing it and I'm never going to quit ever. The voiceover acting is my next step. That's my next goal thing that I want to conquer. Like I have several movies that are coming up, but I want to get into the voice acting. So I've got all this set up. I always use my resources like people on Facebook before I will accept a friend request. I see how many mutual friends we have, make sure they're, not some spam account. And there was one that is like a voiceover specialty person. So I remembered that. And I went to him and I was like, I'd love to talk to you about voiceover one day. Boom, got it. I have some fans that have done some amazing things with some of my pictures. Like if I need anything edited, I have a fan in Ohio. I just send them to him and I'm like, do this, this, this. And he does it. Boom. Like they are so amazing. And they're just nice people. One person made like an avatar for me. I'm like, oh my, it looks like me. I'm like, how did you do this? They are so sweet. A lot of them hide in my inbox, but they're really awesome. I have some the most awesome fans. It's weird to think about that I have fans because I used to always joke around with my son, like, like he would turn on the fan, and I'm like, my biggest fan, like in the room. But now I actually have people that want my dead cards, like signed, and it's really cool. My ultimate goal, and this is so silly because most people, this isn't their dream job, but I am such a people person. Like I have to get out of the house like once a day just to go and talk to people out in public, and I'll strike up a conversation with anyone, especially a thrift store. Last week in Alabama, I was talking to this one woman for an hour and a half. I don't have any clue who she was, but we are now like best friends. And so it's hilarious. But I want to go to like conventions and meet people and like sign things and like get pictures. And just that would be so much fun to me because I love traveling around and going to different places and meeting people. And that's what I really want to do. I'm a big believer in following your heart and your dreams and doing what makes you happy, not what you have to do just because society says you have to do it. I'm not into the 9-to-5 culture. I'm not into the rules that society has that are unwritten. I'm like a dandelion. I just go with it, and wherever I land, great. If it works out, great. If not, I'll float somewhere else, and we'll see how that goes. I'm not a quitter. I do not quit. I don't give up. For me, success is continuous improvement. It's not the financial aspect. It's continuously improving and getting a larger fan base, getting more roles, getting more opportunities, learning more about the craft, having more experiences, going more places. That's what it's all about to me. I'm a survivor. I can live in my car. I'm a trooper. I can make things happen. It's not about the money for me. It's about just the love of the art, just the love of performing. I don't know. I just come alive in front of a camera. And I don't know what it is. I love it. And I wouldn't trade it for anything. I think if anyone who wants to become an actor, it doesn't matter how old you are, go for it. I was older. I had already started my career. I know there are so many other actors, like even Morgan Freeman and so many others that were much older before they started. I've never gone to acting school. I've never gone to theater school, and that's okay. You're never too old to follow a dream. My biggest thing I always say is don't lie on your deathbed thinking, I wonder if I could have done this. What if I would have tried this? Just go for it. If it doesn't work out, okay. But if it does, wow.
Thanks for listening to Creators by Moonlight. Email the show at creatorsbymoonlight@gmail.com and follow the show on social @Creators by Moonlight.